Want one?
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It was worth it.
Oh man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh God! No. Come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. I can't hold. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is. Oh. What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. Now just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach, hug him up.
He's breathing. Just reach. On the other side.
Go.
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Hey, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah.
Hey, did you get the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, that's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Hey, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. Dude, this is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's probably worth it.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Is a
ago.
dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there.
Come on.
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh, God. No, come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. I can't hold it. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is... Oh! What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. You just can't. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up.
He's breathing. On the other side.
Go.
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Hey, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah.
Hey, do you the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, it's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Hey, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. Dude, this is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days ago.
Dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh, God. No. Come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is... Oh. What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No, in front of you. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. You just can't. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up.
He's breathing.
On the other side.
Go.
I can't.
Just-
I can't do it. Help!
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Hey, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah.
Hey, do you the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, it's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what. You finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You got to give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. This is a spicy workout. Make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
What do you make of this up here?
You thought you had a week away from us. You thought you had a break. Think again. Best of 5 grand final. Irish and Goose. We're going to be breaking it down for you tonight. It is Fisher Falcons versus the Tier 2 collegiate team of Akron.
Yeah. I mean, you could not have asked for a more even matchup. The 1 seed versus the 2 seed. The Fisher Falcons making all their way through that lower bracket to find ourselves here today. This is probably, again, as I spoke about, not only the best matchup we could have in here in NECC, but in my opinion, all of collegiate, as these two teams really go back and forth, especially if you remove the context of T2 and everything that they do outside of Siege. But overall, I think this is a really fantastic opportunity for a best of 5.
Yeah, we saw early on Fisher Falcons take a forfeit loss to Cumberland, and just as recently as last week, we saw Cumberland fall apart when going up against Akron. So these two rosters, Akron the same from last week, Kosa, JetCon, Space, Jobu, and Plexios, and Fisher Falcons back trying to dethrone Akron as the kings of collegiate.
Yeah, it is going to be a very difficult matchup here today, but at the same time, this is not going to be an easy road for Akron. That is the definition of how they got here, not dropping one map throughout the entirety of the playoffs. And also another huge and major contributing factor to the context of this matchup is without that forfeit loss, especially knowing that they beat Cumberland 2-1, this could have very well been a matchup that we saw all the way over in the semifinals. Obviously, we didn't get that matchup. They had to go through that lower bracket. But again, it just really makes everything going in is so much more exciting.
Yeah, and we talk about Tier 2 players, talk about, oh yeah, Akron, these players have been in Tier 2. This team currently is in Tier 2, but Fisher Falcons, having Marmalade, has Tier 1 experience on that roster. Now going through the picks and bans, Lair being one of the bands coming out, that's not all that crazy, but Border, Chalet, and Cafe getting banned out immediately, and maps like Consulate and Labs, as well as Skyscraper being the final decider, I think is very interesting, because usually Border, Chalet, and Cafe are those standard collegiate maps, so seeing them as some of the first 3 alongside Lair is kind of strange to me.
It really is, and I think I love the Cafe pick from Fisher. Obviously, Akron picking into Chalet, but Consulate being banned out, another phenomenal pick. Obviously, having Clubhouse, and then it comes down to Labs and Skyscraper. And Fisher, I don't want to say essentially forced to pick Labs because this was their idea going in this, but this is a very evened out matchup. Again, I think maps like Clubhouse and Chalet being able to make it through the map pool is going to be, in my opinion, relatively one-sided, especially because Clubhouse was such a difficult map with Akron last time. They were able to make a lot of changes, but I think Cafe, this early in the map pool, will allow for this team to get very deep. I spoke about to the producers before you even joined our Discord call that the very first 3 matchups, in my opinion, would dictate whether this would be a 3-0 or if Fisher was able to get a map. And this simply due to the fact that Cafe is in this map pool, in my opinion, one of the best chances for Fisher to potentially get one map off of Akron this early. I think that really puts him in a phenomenal place.
Also, if it ends up going to those last 2 maps, because the final deciding map is technically Akron's pick, the defense is, or the side choice went to Fisher. So if it ends up going to that final map, Fisher start on that defense, which is a definite advantage on Skyscraper. So if it ends up going all the way, that might honestly benefit Fisher and give them the highest possible chance to win, knowing that the final decider map starts off with them in a better position. As you go into the ban phase, Fisher taking out Deimos. That's something that we saw Cumberland banned against Akron as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just don't want to play Deimos against any of these teams. Blackbeard also being banned out very early on. And in the ban phase, I built up Chalet as a really strong map for Akron, but I also think it is very important that we touch on that this is also a map that Akron has experienced some difficulties on, going all the way back to their quarterfinal matchup in CR6, losing 4 rounds based purely off of the defense. And that's been a problem for Akron, is their overall defense. Obviously, it's not been a thing where they only win 1 or 2 defenses. Usually they let one round of the defense buffer than what is around the norm. But then it's the attack that really makes this team just so killer. They're every single league, every tier of play. And if Akron is able to fix that defensive problem and then build off of what they've been doing on attack, that is when you really need to start to worry. And I think Chalet is a perfect map to really test that.
One of the interesting things that made it through the ban phase is Doc. Something that we don't see picked onto the defense right off the gate, but something that's specifically for this map and on any other site except for Basement is actually a really strong pick. Because one of the things that defense can do is kind of just hold up in that library position, completely just maintaining that area of the single position that's called suicide, tucked close in the corner, and it's super easily clearable if you pick something like a Capitao that Jobu swapped off of just right now. You kind of just throw one bolt in the corner, clear out that position if it's anyone other than a Doc. But with a Doc, you're able to sustain that and hold close in that position. Again, that's not going to come into effect right now, but once we start going upstairs, something that I very much expect Fisher to abuse on their defensive side, and Akron as well once it swaps sides.
Yeah, and one thing that's already out of the norm is Fisher picking into this basement bomb site first. This is a bomb site that usually falls down to either a third choice, or sometimes it is only a choice that is either fourth, or simply if one of the bomb sites is not working for a defensive team. It's a bomb site that's kind of fallen out of play in recent history. So the fact that Fisher is able to not only play it, but get the opening pick on it, removing space with that ace off of the board, sure. That's not your only hard breach. You still do have that thermite in hand, but this is going to slow down Akron so much, not only because you lose that utility on the hard breach, but also that's the bomb down. You have to go rotate and get it over, and this is going to take away the adaptability, at least in this round, that Akron is going to be able to use.
It's definitely a little lucky for Akron that, one, they have that secondary hard breach as well of the thermite, but also that the defense hasn't picked onto something like a Kaid or a Bandit. If that was up on the board, then even with something like a Thatcher, it would still be almost impossible to get both of those breaches open. Instead, for Fisher, they start off with the advantage. They take down a lot of those secondary hard breach possibilities, and with a minute left and man advantage, they're not giving up any space either. They're still just set into these roam positions. A few drones shot and a little bit of space taken by Akron. But once again, with a minute and 10 off the clock, they have yet to clear out this third floor, only just finding a foothold.
And still having Staz upstairs, you can see eventually they are able to have a drone all the way over to this office position. They are able to get info on him. But it doesn't matter if you have info on a player if you're not able to clear him out. And as I speak the words, I speak his death into existence. Jobu also able to find one onto Ryan. And that man advantage has slowly dwindled down over to the side of Akron. A phenomenal roam clear so far, but still have to clear out bomb.
With that drone, Akron are full aware of this position. With the ability that they've had to snap onto it, I would have expected them to get that kill. Instead, the kill is going to be on a teammate. Even man count and a frost mat down for Fisher as well. They drop back to site. They don't even need to hold the area. When pressuring back up towards main, Marmalade retaking bar, because at this point, perhaps off of the sound call, she knows that she has absolute freedom, because with 40 seconds left, Akron are forced into one of two funnels. Kosa still holding two of those thermites. We talked about them still being able to maybe potentially open up a wall here or there, but at 30 seconds left, they are only just barely doing it, and Bomb taking down Flexios as well. Akron, they retook man advantage for just a short while, but it falls for them once again. Fisher, with just 15 seconds off the clock, shield still up, another kill for Marmalade, and it's almost right done then and there, but Jobu finds one immediately, traded by Marmalade. An opening defensive round for Fisher Falcons, battling back wonderfully against Akron.
A phenomenal recovery, getting those 2 kills on the roamers upstairs, but then a consistent problem that not only happened throughout the entirety of that round, but that has happened previously on this specific map of Chalet, is inconsistent droning. And sure, They were able to get those 2 picks, and obviously your drones, especially in that early phase, aren't going to be able to tell you that there's a player spawn peeking on a specific window. At that point, you essentially have to guess. But then after they get those 2 picks, not only do they lose an additional pick to a roamer that they're not suspecting, they also die to a frostmat. And that was the exact same problem that they had all the way over in the quarterfinals in CR6, was just not droning everything, every small crack, and missing these small things that eventually snowballed into bigger problems that eventually lost them some rounds on the attack. And that's something that they cannot lose on this one. And it's a mistake that they simply cannot make, because if they continue to make mistakes, you're going to continue to have Fisher playing into it.
Especially onto this mid-floor site, Fisher Falcons have picked onto that operator that I pointed out as making it through the ban phase. Doc, and presumably he's going to be playing up top. Yeah, he's on mezzanine right now and probably making his way after the head holes into that tucked position of library. Yep, sitting right in that corner. Another spawn peek out of Fisher. Not quite finding ahead, as Akron are doing a much better job of avoiding it on this round. But as we get into this hold, Fisher Falcons, instead of going for a full, just complete roam, they have a little bit of pressure, or a little bit of area towards mezzanine, 2 sitting inside of library, and the rest on site. It's a very just bunker down, not just to site, but to site and library, not the full, complete roam that they had on the last round. I think this is a smart adaptation, even after things went very well for them in the last round.
Because at the end of the day, you just got that player back simply because they didn't drone. And that's a problem that but Akron isn't going to make twice. You still lost 2 players that first round. So Fisher playing more condensed, especially on a bomb site like reading, is going to be very important, because they just want to waste time over by this top library in Mez side. That is a majority of the pressure that they need to push. Ooh. But Ryan just swinging way too deep in his position over by Killbox, and is allowed to fall down to the first pick. But quickly, Zosa loses his life in an answer back from Fisher, and it still continues to be a game of the inches.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bizarre mistake. I talked about the fact that Doc can kind of just withstand those firebolts, but instead of doing that, Ryan swings out and tries to completely avoid them while saving a Doc stim. That was a little bit of a weird play, because you play that operator specifically to counter something like that on the attack. Either way, Fisher State, like you said, being able to trade it back out, getting the pick onto Kosa means that they don't lose all that much, but still, Akron with that close corner cleared, they still have to be very aware of bomb, but he finds his way back to mezzanine as pressure starts to mount on this top floor.
And he's completely alone with essentially a 3-man crossfire. He understands that he has to play somewhat aggressive, that this is essentially a do-or-die position, and the guns from Akron come out, and it turns from a 4v4 now into a 2v4.
Make that a 1 versus 4 as Marmalade in the 1 versus 4, needing to find a kill, finds it onto Jet Khan, but the vertical is just too much space, snaps it up, and Akron answers back 1 round to Fisher's first.
It's an overall round that Fisher made very simple, that they thought would eventually benefit themselves. But when you have a simple setup, not only is it easy for Akron to read into and then eventually take time to problem solve, because they don't have to worry about that roam. They don't have to worry about clearing over by master bedroom and top solarium, because there is no roamer. You didn't even try to apply pressure to draw the attention away from the attack over there, and because of it, you give this attacking team a wealth of time to drone, figure out the setup on that top floor extension, and then figure out how they want to deal with it. And then on top of that, you have players playing crucial positions like Doc in Killbox, who plays way over aggressive, makes a huge mistake salvaging his life, and because he died so early on, that was a huge factor of time wasting just off of the board for free given to Akron, and that was essentially one of the main factors that opened up the entirety of that round on the top floor.
It was definitely a puzzling play. Either way, for Fisher, after that loss, they choose to go on to a completely different site. Like you talked about, the basement isn't really considered all that strong, but that's kind of just because these mid-floor sites, not only just on this map, but kind of just in the game, have been considered for quite a while now to be the stronger sides. You can base most of your attack around the top, and either they have to full clear you by taking a ton of time, or they hit sight directly and are completely vulnerable to the vertical angles that the defense has set up for themselves. Either way, it's a win-win for the defense. And it seems like Fisher Falcons are very comfortable on those mid-floor sites as well. 20 seconds off the clock, and Akron making much better work of the clock compared to that first round, and hopefully getting much better info as well as drones start to come into this opposite side.
It's another round where there isn't really a huge extension aside from the focus on one of the main points around the map for this bomb site, specifically this vertical. This allows for Akron to completely run free over by top mez. There's nobody inside of basement or bottom fireplace, so you don't really have any flank threat there that Akron has to worry about. Another round where it's very simple to just simply focus on what is right in front of them, and you also have them setting up multiple points of attack. JetCon all the way over on double window to completely disconnect this extension upstairs and apply pressure with the addition of the four players over by top mez.
Yeah, lots of mezzanine pressure for Akron. But as time continues to dwindle off the clock, not really all that much has been taken for this Plexios. Getting a little bit of pressure towards bathroom as well, opening up that castle, pressuring onto bomb right now. And a few pieces of utility trying to push him out as well, but the fight is going to go towards Fisher's way. Opening pick, taking down Plexios, and that's a great start for Fisher, because again, time is just dwindling down, and Akron are still outside of the building.
That is just not a gunfight that you can lose if you are Akron, because now you allow for Fisher to continue to reside up here. If they got that opening kill, the rest of those defenders would have been forced to push back down. Now it comes down to space. He's able to get one, but they just need to either get an additional one or push these defenders down, and that's exactly what they do. The entirety of that vertical now in the control of Akron, and now just have to worry about this bottom trophy position.
Outside of trophy, doesn't know about bomb. He hops up, gets the pick, and it's yet another gorgeous shot found by the defense. That's yet another fight that they just cannot afford to lose. But with 35 seconds left, Fisher can still rally, Akron still can rally. That's plenty of time to be able to use the vertical. With 25 seconds left, they need to start utilizing it to actually find kills. That's exactly what they do. 2 found. Space 2 in the round, as well as Kosa to double up with him, and suddenly the man advantage swings back and forth as we've been seeing this entire game. 15 seconds left, 2 smoke canisters in his pocket. Ryan is looking to deny the plant right here and right now, but as damage is taken by Kosa, he's sticking through the pain, and a 3 versus 1 post plant as Ryan needs to battle back. Shots through the wall almost take him down right then and right there. Kosa is still sitting on site, but it's space to close it out for Akron.
A round phenomenally played by Akron based on the individual capability of every single player. And I think that's one of the biggest factors that has led to Akron's success, both in collegiate and outside, is how every single player on this team is capable to win a gunfight when it matters. Going down in that deficit, winning the kill on the bomb site, opening the opportunity to then push down and put the bomb down, and on top of that, player upstairs winning their battle on the defender trying to flank. It does not matter what player is in any situation. There are no weak points so far on this Akron's team. You can defend, or you can rely on every single player to do the job that is needed, and that's something that Fisher kind of struggles with, because aside from Marmalade and Bomb, obviously I don't want to point out simply just stats, there is really nobody winning these crucial fights. Bomb in the early round winning either opening kills or getting the refrag, and then Marmalade holding the bomb site down, getting those kills late in the round, and there isn't really any other support on Fisher right now.
Yeah, he talked about the kind of just lazy looking at stats, but again, just kind of breaking down that last round, Bomb won 2 fights that we talked about during the round. They're kind of just, you can't lose those for Akron. And despite that, despite 2 very, very impactful kills of the opening to delay the top floor clear and the second kill to shut down the pressure from Trophy, despite all of that going towards Fisher, Akron still ended up winning the round. It's another thing where they can kind of just slow down, and even with the loss of man advantage, they're not going to say, oh gosh, we lost a super important kill, let's rush, let's go crazy, let's just push directly into them. They're going to slow down, and they're going to take things absolutely methodically. This round, they're doing the exact same thing, just opening up windows and hoping for Fisher to run into them. But it looks like that's exactly what Fisher are going to do.
You see that players like Staz are playing a little bit more cautiously, not putting themselves out in the open, giving the opportunity for Akron to win those opening fights. And that's something that eventually Akron will not have. They won't have the opportunity to win those fights, but with a lot of info in a cross from Plexios, they are able to get that very early influential player, that being bombed down. Sure, all of his frost mats are going to be able to place down, no utility loss, but a lot of firepower on Fisher is now off the board. And Fisher, they're not able to get an immediate refrag. This is going to continue to apply pressure because now Staz, especially with this player on the roof, the player's taking control over by Solarium, he's completely cut off here.
Yeah, it seems like they're very aware of him. Jetcon kind of just looking for the perfect spot, but it seems like they're actually just going to let him go. They know that Sight is down in the basement. They know that they have the advantage as far as man count. It seems like the pressure is starting to mount onto Marmalade on the mid floor. They're kind of just giving it up. So Staz instead needs to drop down library stairs, play the cross on the mid floor, because that's where Fisher need to start putting the damage towards Akron. An initial fight going towards Marmalade. That's a great one to win, but instead it's immediately traded out as Marmalade hits the deck as well. They hear the down, they hear the crawling, they know exactly what they have for themselves. It smells like another man advantage.
They are able to get that man advantage, but Tech with a very close answer. And yet again, another flank from Fisher. But he has to be careful that Akron isn't able to hit the bomb site too easily and take this 3v2.
It seems like they like to walk up that main stairs quite a bit. With 35 seconds left, Akron are just so incredibly close to a freebie there. They drop back towards blue, and with 25 seconds left, they're just kind of playing the advantage of time as far as Fisher. Goyo pop, that's going to do a little bit of damage, but it's not going to stop the entry onto site. Jetcon taking down everybody, and that's yet another Akron round.
I talked about it, man. This Akron attack is absolutely killer. And one of the main factors, something I spoke about all the way last week, I spoke about on CR6, is that Akron is a team that is not known for getting that plant down and then forcing the round to go into a post-plant situation. That's not from a simple fact that this team is really bad at planting and they just simply can't get that bomb down. It comes down to the fact that Akron wins the round before they are even forced to put that bomb down, killing essentially the entire team. And that has been one of their biggest upsides, and honestly is one of the main factors of this current meta, and something that a lot of teams are not able to really deal with. If you try and force the plant down, then they'll just have 2 to 3 players watching that crossfire, protecting this player, and then it comes down to a simple battle of the gunfights, and that's something that Fisher is not going to beat Akron at. So Fisher, they really have to change something up quick.
Fisher once again on bar, and it seems like the mistake that they made of playing a little bit too far out of this corner. It might be helped a little bit by a Wamai from Techwell. Instead, I mean, again, that's not really the mistake that they made. They didn't really need to stack up utility on that corner. The Doc by himself can just kind of hold that down, but either way, it seems like they're stacking a lot more utility to be able to hold down that corner, and it might work out very well for them. Bomb staying active, looking for a spawn peek once again, but he's going to drop off very quickly, probably because after that first round, he started to get punished quite a bit. And for Fisher, giving up the advantage is just death for them right now, as they are sitting down the barrel, or they're looking down the barrel of 3 perfect rounds for Akron after they got one to start.
To be completely honest here, even if you are able to push up both bomb and tech, if Ryan just doesn't play like a moron here and can waste a little bit of time,
What?
I think this could be better. I understood what he was doing last time, going for the swing, trying to play aggressive and take a player off guard. But the simple fact that you cleared the dock so early on allowed for you to put additional pressure onto these 2 players on top Mez without having to worry about that dock. If he simply can just waste 1 or 2 Capitao bolts, that is all he needs. Be going down to exactly that. The nade comes out, but he is able to at least buy himself a couple more seconds. Above 2 kills, he isn't able to save his life for a little bit longer, but he is able to waste a little bit time. But it doesn't matter how it happened. The exact same thing from the previous round. 2 opening kills for Akron.
Okay, we were making fun of him for overplaying this corner, but if Akron's utility is just that strong, maybe it's something that he knew he needed to do. Fisher instead, not Ryan, forced into aggression now. As Akron gaining a little bit of info on them, knowing exactly where Staz is, but he's just planting his feet and hoping for a kill. But it might all be hope and nothing more, as JetCon looking to snap it down. Instead, it's a kill from Techwill, very easily traded by Kosa, though. And with Akron in a two-man advantage, trades very much favor them. Staz holding down these vertical angles. He needs to win this gunfight. Instead, he's forced to drop back from the angle, and Marmalade on site, looking through vertical spots, looking for any sort of hope. But as Kosa gets a triple in the round, it's all going to be left down to Marmalade, and a very quick finish from Akron. A 4-1 for them, as they're really starting to run away with this.
I mean, 4 rounds on the attack on a map that hasn't been attacker-sided in 2 years, maybe 3. I'm so old, I'm starting to lose my memory on how long this Chalet rework has been in competitive Siege. But again, it is the exact same problem that I spoke about in the very first round, but then replicated. You played the exact same extension. You did nothing different. Sure, you did add a Frost inside of Kitchen. You added that little bit of an extension. But when you have the attack not playing into you whatsoever, not applying any pressure throughout the entirety of the round, there are only 2 options. Either one, they don't know you, but with head holes on that kitchen wall, there is no way, unless they are blind, that they didn't know you were there. So the then latter question for the defense to ask is, are they just avoiding me, waiting to deal with me early on? And that's exactly what Akron did. And if Fisher continues, or at least for this last round, to play the exact same way with the exact same defensive setups, then Akron, they're just going to walk into this like they already know the setup, because they do.
If Akron get another round and this ends up being a 5-1 attacking half for them, is it a little bit too early to say that Fisher is barbecue chicken?
I think it is. I think it is a good time to say that Fisher is a nice seared piece of chicken on that barbecue. You got the sauce all lathered on it. It is ready to eat, but we're not there yet.
I already had dinner and a snack, and you're making me hungry.
Fisher can still get one more round. But like I spoke about just seconds ago, the problem is you got a 2-4 half on your defense. Sure, Akron is notoriously, at least from a couple of weeks ago, in CR6, had problems on their own defense. But with a 5-1, that is just a deficit that Fisher, in my opinion, cannot afford to take.
Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, because we still have 1 round before we start really needing to hit the alarm bells for Fisher. But it starts off not all that well for them, as Bomb goes down to very little HP, and the pressure is just continuing to get out of hand. Ryan, outside of the map, takes down Plexios. A very quick trade from Akron, but a very puzzling start, as Fisher just get all the way outside to find that opening.
I also really want to say just how perfectly placed that Goyo was, because it's essentially where the attack can't run down those stairs, but it also doesn't push Marmalade out. If it was just literally inches closer, not only would you have pushed her out of this crucial position, but then you would have put her in a position where she lost her life. Bomb trying his best to support his teammate, and right now it is giving some difficulty to Akron, especially with JetCon losing his life to this very aggressive swing-in.
Immediate trade from Space onto Bomb, though, but then after, hops into a Frost Mat and gets snapped up by Marmalade herself, and it's finally an advantage for Fisher that they are able to hold. Jobu looking for an overextension, but does he know that there's also one so close on this piano position? The swing comes out, and now he very much does know. But with 55 seconds on the clock, Akron really need to hit the go button. Looking for another pick, but Kosa to trade on those on those solar stairs, snapping up on his teammate. And at this point, Akron actually now have evened it up for themselves. 40 seconds left is plenty of time, and the pressure just continues to mount, but Marmalade is feeling up to it, swings onto Jobu, and keeps her team's hopes alive. As Fisher now in the advantage, now just sitting with Kosa all the way in the basement looking for a freebie. Fisher have time to be able to double up. But Techwell is below instead. Marmalade only on site, isolating out these 1 versus 1s, but Marmalade has won her ones in this round. And it's a 4-2 half, not too far away from Fisher to bring it back.
Again, I spoke about the dangers of playing a bomb site relatively similar than a previous time that you defended it, but the good thing for Fisher is that Akron's inconsistency on the droning propped up yet again. Because they didn't have those drones, not only were they not expecting such a heavy roam on that top floor, not only were they not suspecting Marmalade, obviously that's a bomb site that you, or a gunfight that you lost, but you didn't expect her to continue to play upstairs, and then not expecting a vigil behind that. Jumping into a frostbite that you had no idea, also don't know why you're not shooting below that, especially since pretty much every single round that Fisher played defense, they brought a frost. Again, I think it's a thing where not only did you have a mix of inconsistent droning, you also had a lapse of judgment by individual players that propped up a snowball effect of opportunities that Fisher perfectly took advantage of.
Completely different operator lineup out of Akron's defense compared to Fisher. We saw a lot of smoke on the side of Fisher, no smoke to be found on Akron. We saw a lot of mute, but instead Akron are deciding to go for a full denial setup of the Kaid playing off of the tube route as well. Plexios on the cap can, that might get some absolute freebies. The Mira, which is a very strong operator on this map, and we didn't see Fisher play at all. And a bit of an interesting 5th pick in this alibi.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I don't want to go out of my way and simply call it a gimmick pick, because she still serves somewhat of a purpose, and her gun is also relatively good. The rate of fire, I think it's one of those guns where it's like you're going to choose it simply because of that. Obviously, it doesn't have that 1.5 times scope again, but I think it's one of those things where you're just giving a decent gun to a really good player and seeing what he can do with it, because let's be honest, those clones really don't do that much. It'll trick a player maybe once, maximum twice, but even with that, it doesn't give you a lot of info. So it's just one of those things where that player space is going to be playing very aggressive, and so far 8-3, it has worked for him.
Yeah, but Fisher Falcons doing a lot of good a lot of good info work to start this map. They're not going to be rushing into a window and allowing Akron to snap up on them, because after a 4-2 half, we talked about the dangers of a 5-1, but even a 4-2 going into this defense looks quite good for Akron. So I think Fisher are expecting Akron to get a little bit out of hand, to get perhaps a little bit unruly. So taking a little bit of extra time to get that info before entering the map is definitely a smart decision, considering the start that Akron have gotten for themselves.
I really like this play from Zosa to kind of play a little bit of a pinch position. Because he's here, it gives Fisher a little bit of an idea that there's a roamer. Maybe they're inside of Ov as they cleared this position out. Maybe they are inside of Kitchen, but no.
Double
dual flank from both Space and Zosa to get this kill, but he just misses it. Doesn't even get a lick of damage on Techwell, and sure, you aren't able to get that player. You do alert the rest of the attack, but you still have 2 defenders that Fisher are fully aware, and now they're going to have to constantly be thinking about them in the back of their mind going into this execute.
Techwell absolutely blessed by timing, but Bomb is not. Opening pick for Akron. And it looks like Techwell is looking to retake this top floor. A bit of an odd position this late in the round with 40 seconds left. Kosa is just dropping back and looking for pressure through a vert angle, but it seems like it's just to delay time as he drops back down Solar and looks for the pick, but Ryan through the wall cuts him off. Fisher trading it back out into a 4 versus 4, but with 25 seconds left, Techwell still on the top floor. And Plexios and the rest of Akron just holding down their corners, but Ryan is not stopping there. Jobu finally puts a stop to him. Space doubling down, and now advantage for Akron as we get into the last few dying seconds. Marmalade to find one. Marmalade looking through the hatch as Plexios takes her down. And time getting down to 0, but Techwell finding a kill. It's still 1 off of time, though, as he elects not to put the case down at 0-0, because he knows that at that point, it's just unwinnable. The clock being the 6th man, and as it comes down into a 1 versus 1, that's the only man advantage that Akron needs.
I think if I needed to boil that down to one phrase or one description, it would simply be Space and Jobu, or whoever else was on the flank. I don't exactly remember who the second player on the flank was. But not only did you lose that player, in my opinion, okay, actually, I'm not going to say that missing the shots on that player was better than killing him. But again, simply because that Fisher had the knowledge that there were at least one player. Probably didn't know there was a second player. They knew that there was at least one player on that flank. That was something that they had to constantly have in the back of their mind and worry about. And that applied pressure and drew their attention away going into that execution. But the bigger factor in that round was they never had 100% info on where Space was. Thinking that he wasn't inside of kitchen, that hatch, they didn't need to worry about going for that plant, allowing for Space to take them off guard. And that's something that is going to continue really strong in this defense. And it's going to simply be up to Fisher to just have either one, a better ability to read into this defense, or use this drone to consistently find these players playing in very aggressive yet hidden positions.
Akron once again pulling out operators that we have not seen throughout the entirety of this map. Fenrir also just a really strong operator, but Fisher just elected to not choose onto him at all. Malusi, a very strong operator, giving a ton of info, just like the Fenrir, not picked onto at all. And Jobu on the castle, I think maybe we saw once or twice, but not really all that consistently out of Fisher. Akron had a wealth of strategies, and they're kind of just throwing everything at Fisher and seemingly confusing them. Opening round on their defense, and they're kind of just getting really wacky. A lot of really long angles set up by this defense, but Bomb, completely disregarding them, finds the opening.
Yeah, Bomb has slowed down a little bit on this second half. Marmalade picking him a little bit of that slack, but he makes a name for himself in this round.
Just
at
ran
least getting rid of Jobu. And that's one of those situations where he saw an opportunity, he saw a gap, and he took advantage of it. Hopefully Akron don't make that same mistake again, but in this round, that's something that you can't change. You can't fix. You're going to have to go into the rest of this round with that man deficit, and even with a trade, Fisher is able to continue to drive this advantage home.
But you also lose the top frag on Fisher, 2 nades, and a lot of flank utility with Kosa to take down Bomb as well. That's another incredibly important pick. Techwell finding a trade, though, and keeping advantage in Fisher's way. It's a very important one, as Akron with Kosa and JetCon realizing that they are now firmly in the disadvantage, not just in numbers, but also in space, forces Kosa to retake that top floor, or at least pressure towards it.
The good thing for Akron is they have that 6-man, that time to work for, and they just need one player completely isolated. Fisher, they still are trying their best to get this wall all the way in, Fireplace open, and Techwell, he's isolated. They have info on him. If JetCon wants, or Exosa wants to try and get him, he can, but JetCon, he loses his life, putting himself in a 1v3.
Kosa now forced after that pick to drop back to site, because if he stays on the retake, he's either going to be taking a 50-50 fight upstairs, or the team is just going to take site and get the plant down. Either way, that case is hitting the ground. A C4 going out, not quite able to find anything. It's a player in trophy. Techwell just evades it, takes 0 damage, and cuts down Akron's defense. It's a traded round, 1-4-1, but Akron's still sitting in the 5-3 advantage.
I talked about this. Those mistakes on the defense in Akron are making them huge. One of the biggest mistakes, not only in that round, but in the previous 2 rounds that has continued to prop up, is isolated players on the extension away from the bomb site for this defense, playing way too aggressive, giving easy gunfights for Fisher to just pick up and eat. We talked about how that bomb just ran in with droning himself in. It wasn't like he had 2 players, 2 teammates droning him in front of him. He droned himself in and then went for a really aggressive swing with no other info aside from a player playing on his head holds over by top mez, and won the gunfight purely because that defender made a poor decision to swing into him. And sure, I keep saying that, oh, this is a problem that Fisher won't make, or Akron won't make, but they've been making it consistently over and over and over. And sure, it's only costed them 1 round, but if you continue to make that same mistake, Fisher, you're going to read into it and then take advantage of it more and more as you make it.
complete 100% operator swaps on Fisher. Maybe they were expecting a different site before they droned it, but either way, I think this operator lineup is... I actually quite like it. Because you have the Capital bolts to clear out that corner that I've talked so much about during this game, and you also have the Flores to be able to clear out the shields and also the castles that you see out of the defense. That on top of the vertical play of the Ram, and then 2 global operators to get you info and heal you back up, as well as the fact that it seems like Fisher are just kind of comfortable having that Finca. The whole operator lineup is just based around countering what Akron are comfortable with while maintaining the comfort of Fisher on their attack.
Yeah, one big difference that Akron has made, especially compared to Fisher, is having this extension all the way over by Office and Piano. JetCon playing inside of that master position with the entire wall both reinforced, playing that vertical, but it's actually Plexios to get the opening kill, removing the Ram off the board in another situation where, for now, Fisher is not able to get that immediate refrag. They are able to get a kill on to Jobu, aren't able to finish it onto Exosa, but Akron, they get the advantage.
Tequil knowing that there's one down in this utility room, looking to swing for one, not realizing that he can find 2 for his troubles, but not before he gets taken down by JetCon. Fisher's still aware of the down inside of that electrical hallway, but with no ability to capitalize on it. 2 nades above, but they need to retake this library position before they start pressuring towards it. And it seems like they know that there's one holding down that position, almost walking into a frost mat himself. Kosa bleeding out with no one to help, though. Means that the advantage drops by 1 for Fisher, which makes it slightly more winnable, but even still, he's gotta know that this is just so bad for him. Crossfire set up by Akron. All they need to do is just hold this position and hope that Staz walks closer into sight instead. 50% through the plant. Akron forced onto their feet, getting him off of the plant, baiting out that sound info and going for a swing, but JetCon has just been too good. And another round for Akron as they creep on to match point.
That is a round where Fisher never was able to fully deal with that top extension, that problem that they never had a solution for. They had all the utility for it. They had grenades, they had a Flores, they had a Capital, they had every tool in their toolkit to solve that problem. But when it came down to executing it, using those tools, they weren't able to push those players out of their positions, rather using the nades to try and get a kill onto that Mira inside of stock. Eventually, sure, it took around a minute to get her, but you did. But because they were never able to fully deal with it, they just fell off. The last 2 players, instead of trying to pick up the pieces on that top floor, simply just went for a ill-advised site take and then losing a kill to an isolated 1v1. It's kind of a situation where that round Fisher had no control whatsoever, always was on the back foot, and never really had any great effort to try and take control. And that's something that Akron played into absolutely perfectly, going all the way down to that 2v1, playing their positions perfectly, forcing that last player to be the one to aggress rather than trying to force a 1v1 isolated gunfight, allowing it to dwindle down to a 1v1.
And unfortunately for Fisher, they find themselves in a situation where mistakes like that are just untenable. Sitting on the brink of match point, Akron with 3 rounds on their defensive side to mop up this map. And Fisher forced to have a perfect 3 rounds in a row on their attacking side to stay alive in this opening map with an Akron that just looks so strong. It's going to be really tough for them. Even still, going into the side, they've done something that I think is quite good, which is add in a little bit of redundancy. They have 2 vertical play operators. We saw in the last round, after they lost the Ram, it was kind of just really bad because it was the only operator that they had to open up vertical and to do a lot of the necessary work to win on a site like that. But here, say Akron goes for spawn peek and takes down Ryan, it's not that bad because you have Tekwil on the buck to be able to do a little bit of vertical work. Instead, it doesn't look like they're working at them in shoulder to shoulder. Tekwil instead on the first floor looking for a lurk.
One thing that Akron hasn't really dealt with, another round where Fisher, they try to go for the quick execution. They try to take Akron off guard. And Akron, they're not playing on the bomb site whatsoever, going for a heavy extension. 3 players in this top floor, and they've been taken completely off guard.
The lurk works perfectly, opening pick and complete site control like you talked about. The one problem, though, is that on a site like this, Akron are just so... I mean, they have to have so many vertical angles as well as so many retake angles as well. Plexios walking up Westmay, finding a double for his trouble as well. And Marmalade sitting in trophy. It's just her and one more, and now it's all up to her as the vertical angles snap up her teammate. And she's sitting at 10 and 7, but she needs to make it 14 to even stay alive.
Wow.
And Space finds yet another. You can walk onto site, you can pressure plant, but when there's vertical angles and retake spots galore, it's just undoable for Fisher.
That's such a funny round to me, because if you did that quick site hit on any other bomb site, you would have been able to get away with it. That would have been a round win for Fisher. But just as you said, because of all of that vertical above, it's a bomb site where if you don't have that vertical on top floor, there's no way you're getting that bomb down. There's no way you're going to be able to win the round. The entirety of that bomb site, the win factor for the attack is whether or not you are able to push out that extension. And because they went for that quick site hit, they just tried to completely skip over that step, and it costed them.
Yeah, it's on a site like that. And again, that's kind of why the mid-floor sites have become super meta, not just in tier 1, but kind of trickling all the way into ranked, is because you can do something like that. You can force a team to either take a ton of time clearing out second floor, rotating it down into opening up wall, going for plant, putting smokes down, throwing all the utility, and then at 20 seconds left, one smoke from the defense just shuts it down. Or you hit site and risk them not, holding vertical as perfectly. Not against Akron. 7-3 victory for them, and they just snap up this opening map. Will Fisher be able to fight back? Will they be able to put Akron on the ropes? Well, after this quick break, you'll figure out.
Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Has a
ago.
dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to us. Just leave it.
Hell with that.
Ah, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it.
Careful!
Oh, God. No, come on, just reach. Just grab my hand. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is...
Oh!
What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. You just can't. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean you won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, just I got you. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up. He's breathing. Just reach. On the other side. Go.
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Hey, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah,
Hey, do you the meat stick?
yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, that's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, nope, get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. Dude, this is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
And we're back, Irish and Goose, for a banger best of 5. Fisher Falcons versus Akron. Akron got off to quite the start on that last map. After Fisher found the first round, it seemed like they were going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Akron, but then Akron just kind of started to run away with it, and a 7-3 victory that actually ended up going, I mean, not a ton of time. That was a very quick 7-3.
Very quick, yeah. Even for a 7-3, like it didn't feel like a 7-3. Like 7-3s usually take a round, I'd say an hour. I don't think it took even that long. But again, I think that's a map where it's Chalet. That is one of, if not probably the strongest map for Akron. And now we're moving on to Cafe. I spoke about how these first 3 maps, whether or not Fisher was going to be able to get a map like Cafe into these first 3 maps is going to be very telling. Obviously, being able to force Cafe in as the second map as their first pick is great. It's a phenomenal opportunity for them to potentially start to get some momentum, but if they lose it here, then that, in my opinion, is when you really do have to start to worry.
Another Deimos ban against Akron.
Maybe.
I'm actually I don't even want to like start a point and like break anything down because I'm actually genuinely so curious. It's been a little bit of a bizarre thing to see Deimos banned so often against Akron.
For
Especially when there's so like such strong shield operators for the attack. It's real weird.
I'm gonna be honest. If there was any map where like I think it made 100% sense taking away the fact that Akron loves Deimos, I think Cafe, it makes a ton of sense. There's so much soft floor around this map that is essentially one of the main factors. Also getting rid of that is on me. I think this is one of the maps where I really can see Deimos being a factor that could honestly swing one way or the other win-wise, and then also just banning Blackbeard. Again, I think Cafe is weirdly a map that plays out of meta, but also really empowers meta powerful operators like Blackbeard and Deimos, especially with all those windows. Overall, it's just really a weird map, and then obviously the Valkyrie come out. But again, I think Deimos obviously is, in my opinion, a much better ban than a map like Chalet, taking away that power. But again, both a Monty and a Blitz on the board.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like sure, Deimos is strong. Maybe it's even like a target ban against a specific team saying, oh, yes, he's strong, but also you guys really like him. We kind of want to throw you off your game. But even still, I mean, the thing is, I would think, oh, yeah, there's got to be better bans, but also devil's advocate, Akron don't really like to play a lot of like Monty. Like we've seen Monty up throughout this best of 5 already, and also in the best of 3 that we casted last week as well. And Akron didn't really go for a ton of shields. There were like 1 or 2 rounds where they did a little bit of Monty, did a little bit of Blitz, but it isn't really in their main repertoire. And it seems like it isn't really for Fisher either. It's also, once again, for the last map, the exact same attacker bans. So Blitz and Monty have been up the last map for 10 rounds, and neither team really abused it all that much.
And I think Cafe specifically is a map where it's not that shields don't have a main factor, because Cafe is so condensed, especially when you try to transition from one floor to another. That really puts the shields in a really difficult position, a position where they almost have a weak point. And I think that's one of the main problems, one of the main things that kind of teams say you don't really want to bring a shield simply because of one of those factors. Obviously, there's a lot more. One thing I'm really excited about, Irish, is the new operator, Fullbox Ryan. He's bringing her, I believe, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I really love this operator, specifically on Cafe with all the windows, or actually the doors rather. And it looks like that Fisher is eyeing potentially another quick take with aid from this new operator.
Are you
forgot the name?
Are you trying to? Yeah. Oh, I thought you were trying to avoid saying her name because you
No,
didn't know
I
how
forgot.
to pronounce it. Okay, it's like Raura. It's the R-A.
Oh, that's definitely wrong.
A-R-A or something. It's like it. I mean, no matter how you say it, it's gonna sound like a husky. She is very strong on this map, but either way, that's not going to be the operator that they actually take space or do anything with. It's a quick rush off of Fisher, but it gets shut down almost immediately. Staz in a 1 versus 3. Talked about a quick map 1. It's just a blitz of a round, even without that operator.
I mean, again, any other bomb site that would have worked. They really keep trying. And I don't want to go out of my way because I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the team as Fisher. They are a phenomenal team, one of, if not the second best team in collegiate. But it really does feel like they just don't know how to attack against Akron. So their cop-out option is to let's just go for these quick site takes. Hopefully we can catch them off guard. And to be fair, they are doing them in rounds where Akron has a very heavy extension, where there is usually maximum 2 players on the bomb site, usually spread out between both bomb site, which allows for an easy take. They got that opening pick. Bomb yet again getting that, probably actually I was going to say the only other kill, but Staz also got one. But I think it's kind of a situation where you've done it now 4 times. We're on the second map. You're not taking Akron off guard. They know what you're going to do, especially with Arua on the board. As soon as they hear that door open, they see that opening pick, they have the vertical to set up. It is really starting to get old, not only for Akron, but also me, because it's a position where Fisher just really need to prop up something new than just trying to take Akron off guard, because simply not going to.
5 seconds to insertion.
Either way, Akron getting themselves the first round. We saw them not be able to on that last map, but either way, it didn't really matter, because Akron, just round after round after round, were able to shut down Fisher. This round, hopefully, Fisher don't go for an ill-advised rush. It seems like they're a lot more spread out and taking their time a lot more. This is one of those maps where, yeah, these, first 20 to 40 seconds are just kind of going to be the attackers rappelling up, getting into better positions, maybe trying to go for a freebie like we saw Bomb hold a long angle all the way from spawn. But either way, it's going to take a little bit for them to get into position. Now, Tech will maybe sitting outside of this pillar position, looking to walk in again, that same spot, but instead of being directly opposite site and being able to go for a quick site hit, it seems like he's just going to try to walk in, do a little bit of reverse vertical, pressure out the players on site, while the rest of Fisher on rappel look to capitalize off of it. Either way, Kosa finds the pick onto Techwill instead, and Bomb, waltzing into his position, looks for a pick back, finds it down through a wall, and off of the blood trail is able to clean it up. A 4-4 start.
The problem with that, though, is not only do you lose your buck for JetCon, but you lose your buck so early on, he's not able to work that vertical. And if you look up the entire positions of the team, one of the major factors to apply pressure onto this bomb site in this early half of the round was that buck. He was essentially a semi-spearhead for this attack, and without him, they just kind of have to bait on these windows. Hopefully they can grab a pick and then just swing into the bomb site. But with these crossfires set up by Akron, that shouldn't be that easy to accomplish.
Still work being done from below by Bomb, but it's not really pushing a lot of players out of position. Kosa on top of the desk, even if that vertical is made, is really not going to budge his feet at all. Instead, the pressure is going to come mostly out of the repels of Fisher, but even still, it doesn't seem like pressure's really going anywhere. Smoke in the hands of Bomb, smoking off pixel area and looking to walk up White, but instead, Space just cuts him off, and that attempted entry out of Fisher once again amounts to absolutely nothing. And with 35 seconds left, Fisher just switching repel, and looking for a freebie that Akron are just not giving up. Instead, Marmalade, walking up White stairs, finds one, immediately traded out by Plexios, and it's just trades back and forth with Akron still maintaining man advantage. And to double up on these White stairs needs to find something, but holding close with a shotgun is probably going to be the end of it. A down onto one in full box. Ryan, the last alive, Jobu and Kosa, but it all comes down to a long angle held, and yeah, there was just absolutely no chance. 2 rounds for Akron to start.
I want to go to a quick little bit of history to build up my point. Throughout all of these T3 and then going into the Challenger Series qualifiers, obviously Akron was, the team that made it, but right behind them, Fisher was a team that almost always either went really deep into open or made close. They are a team that are fantastic. They have a very deep bag. In these first 2 rounds in the attack, they are being lazy, and I'm honestly very disappointed. The entirety of the round was based off of getting that vertical and then going up White. They lose that buck early on to the point where he wasn't even able to take his shotgun out aside to open that single door in hell rather, and then they just sit on the windows, throw a couple of nades and flashes, hope they can flush a player out and get one, and then they just send 3 players up White stairs. It is a round where they didn't try to switch up their attack, they didn't try to rotate players around, go for a different avenue, and they kind of, I don't want to say the word give up, but they didn't do anything different. They just kind of flooded players all to the same point and hoped eventually hitting their head against a brick wall that wall would fall down, but it never did.
5 seconds left.
I think Fisher should ban Hibana. I think that'd help him out a lot. Stay quiet. All right. Fisher on this round are actually choosing to go onto one of those shields that we talked about so much. We talked about, hey, there's an option for the attackers. They can consistently pick onto it, but they have consistently chosen to not. And this round, Bomb, instead of setting up long angles, instead of playing a DMR to try to get absolute freebies, after realizing that Akron aren't going to overswing, aren't going to give those up, it seems like Fisher are taking the initiative themselves, just absolutely swinging through small. Bomb looking for one, just cutting down one of those Goyos, taking down a little bit of the time denial that Akron has for the late round, but verticals still held. It's yet another mistake for Fisher, yet another one of those rounds where, yes, they're taking sight, yes, they're taking a lot of space, but there's still so many long angles held by Akron to deny a plant and deny the space that Fisher have taken. That's 1 kill coming from vertical as well. Plexios on the 2nd floor as well, as he is just holding down Train. Fisher, yeah, they take a lot of space, but they don't have anything to show for it.
They aren't able to get an answer back, but a phenomenal swing from Techwell. His fire art isn't able to result in anything, but his gun can do the talking for him. Eventually, finally able to get an even out. But the problem now is the entirety of the defense, that surprise factor that Fisher was working off of to work their way into the bomb site and try and get this bomb down, it's gone. You no longer have that, but you still have a lot of utility on the blitz, cap down, even Marmalade to work with. Fisher trying to potentially poke their heads onto the 2nd floor, maybe push a player or 2 out on this vertical because they know it's crucial that they need to try at least move these players on this 2nd floor around so they can't just simply hold these angles and shoot once they go the bomb down. And Marmalade, she is able to eventually find JetCon though.
They're incredibly disconnected, though. You talked about Fisher needing to retake up top floor. You need to have someone playing off the blitz to be able to do that. Instead, Marmalade just holding a cutoff. But I don't think Fisher are going for that flank. Instead, she's kind of denying them being able to hold that position and swing back down Brown stairs, but that's not where the flank is going to come from. The players still on site from Akron shut this down. And Tech Will, the last alive, swing into sinks and is cut down once again by Jobu. They've droned out the mid-floor. They have all that pressure. They've taken sight, but they have not droned sinks.
This is one of the situations where I could perfectly say that Jobu took advantage of his position inside of kitchen. He had all the ingredients, and he made absolute barbecue chicken out of that attack from Fisher.
Woo!
3 rounds in a row now for Akron. And not only do they go for these very quick sight hits, and I do want to add the major factor because I've been absolutely drilling on this Fisher team so far, that they had the perfect utility in operator lineup for that execution. But they didn't deal with that vertical. They didn't use that surprise factor. Matter of fact, they could have well pushed all the way inside into kitchen, over right in front of bakery. They had the blitz. They could have just ran their way through past that vertical. It wasn't really that deep aside from the right in front of that rotate hole, but they just didn't have the confidence. They held themselves back, and because of that, they lost the surprise factor, allowed for Akron to rotate the defensive positions around to have more effect to exactly where Fisher was playing, and that's essentially where they lost the round.
Yeah, and I mean, they tried to push all the way towards site, but they didn't have enough info towards site to be able to take it and safely get the plant down, and they didn't have any control over towards the mid and top floor, so the vertical angles came in for Akron. I mean, they had an idea, but it was kind of just a bad idea, and it's yet another round going towards Akron, a perfect site rotation for them. And we talked about things starting to slip for Fisher in the last map, and, you know, they were able to get one round before it actually ended up falling out of their hands. But for this map, it's just started off by Akron dominance, and it's looking to continue as Kosa gets a lot of info towards Fisher's attack as well. It's not going to be, you know, super brand new info. That's kind of just a default spot that the attackers repel up to, but either way, being able to play off of 2 C4s from below, and Jobu, well, actually, no, he's not on the mid floor looking for a C4. He's holding up towards his top floor alongside Space in Cocktail and Flexios as well.
Essentially completely disconnected from his teammate, but because Fisher didn't do enough droning, Zosa is able to get a C4 and remove that Zofia, get one of the most potent players alive in a jump out. Zosa going huge this round. Plexios with one of his own, but Staz is able to stop the bleeding for at least now, being paired with Marmalade. They have both successfully cleared out this top floor. The problem, though, they have sacrificed not only half of the round, 3 of their teammates, but also a majority of Staz's health, who also has that diffuser in his pocket. He's going to be the player who needs to try and put that bomb down with such low health. It's going to be a difficult situation. And on top of that, Akron, they have information on his position.
And yeah, they have time, and they also have vertical pressure, but the thing for Fisher is they have a man disadvantaged, and they're forced into a plant against a very trap and info-heavy setup of Akron. The last 3 players alive is JetCon to be able to rotate around his Fenrir mines and get info, as well as, you know, the bulletproof camera that JetCon brings as well, and then Kosa on the pulse being able to give info as well, and the passive traps of the Banshees. It's just so much info. So you're playing off of a man advantage for Akron. You're playing off of time that's now actually starting to get away from Fisher. And also you're playing off of just an incredible mountain of info for them as well. They don't need to overswing anything. They can play super passive, even with these vertical angles opening up. Marmalade actually able to find a pick onto Plexios. That's a very, very good pick to be able to trade it out and keep it within arm's reach, but with 15 seconds left, JetCon retaking over towards Cigar and able to find it down onto Marmalade. It is a glorified 1 versus 2, and with Staz forced to put the plant down, scans from above, and the round over. It's another for Akron.
Akron continued to just absolutely dog walk this Fisher attack so far, and it's all falling apart for Fisher. I can only speak about how Cafe historically, especially in recent history, has kind of flipped either side. It isn't really a map that is noticeably very defender-sided, and this isn't a map where it's just simply Cafe's just so defender-sided, and it's a very difficult map to play. It is Fisher not putting up enough ideas, round after round, going for his very simple takes, and not only are these simple takes allowing for Akron to read into them, but because Fisher on their attack plays so slow, it gives a wealth of time for Akron to read into this Fisher attack and then prepare for it. If it was a really simple push, but you did it really quick, you took advantage of the gaps that Akron had very early on the round, that's fine. That's a fantastic attacking round from you. It's not the simple fact that it is simple, it's because you are moving so slow and allowing for Akron to have so much time to adapt, to change, and then prepare for what Fisher does even before they go into it.
Well, I mean, devil's advocate, when they've gone quickly, it hasn't really worked out all that well. The first round, Fisher tried to go for a rush, and it kind of just absolutely falls to pieces as well. It seems like everything they do turns to, well, I can't say that on broadcast, turns to not gold. Fisher sitting 0-4 after losing the first map, and it just continues to go from bad to worse. Not taking a timeout, though, is a little bit of an interesting choice. Now, for Akron, we talked about them in the last map after going a few rounds up, getting a little bit gnarly, getting maybe a little bit out of hand. Things continue to get the exact same as JetCon, placing down a Mira and holding down the entirety of Piano with it, as well as even pressuring in towards Cigar as well, and he finds the opening on the mid-floor and doubles down. Fisher, what are you doing?
I mean, this guy's just walking. JetCon's not even aimed down. And you allow him to get two, and not only two, but your Ash and your Buck. Your two most influential players, both in utility and in the entry department. It all just falls apart from a simple, easy swing from JetCon. And it's a round where I can try my best to give explanations, I can give answers on what went wrong, but it's a simple fact of moving too slow with not enough info, not simply being prepared, and allowing for an individual player to win a gunfight that he should not even have won the first time around, but then letting him get a second.
And now Fisher, minute and 30, half the round off the board, with two players dead, but also all of their mid pressure. Marmalade walking around mid floor is actually able to clean one up, taking down JetCon, finally getting the latest trade in all of history. But Plexio sitting behind that Mira window plays a little bit more passively. Instead of trying to collect an absolute freebie, instead he doesn't elect to take the kill, and Marmalade finding yet another trade actually puts it into a very winnable position for Fisher's attack.
Marmalade has done a fantastic job in getting kills either in a very crucial position or very late in the round where you need them, when you need to start to claw back, but you still have to work against this iron curtain of defender, utility, and info that Akron has on Fisher.
Mrs. Marmalade tear down that wall. Fisher staring down the barrel of this iron curtain defense. And even with the trades that Marmalade has been able to find, it's still going up into two Mira windows, and it's just so undoable. 2 kills for the players holding them, and they know exactly where Marmalade is sitting. A shotgun on the close corner and a gun trained on the long corner, and it's not even gonna be able to take a swing. Kosa shuts her down for a 5-0 start for Akron.
If I knew how to play poker, I'd probably make a metaphor about poker, but I don't know how to play poker, so I'm not going to make that metaphor. Instead, I will make a metaphor about how Fisher is just running into this. I spoke about the first map on how they needed confidence and how rounds where they simply didn't have that confidence, but now they have too much confidence, and that confidence is turning into a very scary dragon. That dragon is being ego. And that's just a metaphor. I don't actually think Fisher is playing egotistical here. I know for a fact these players aren't egotistical. I think it's kind of a sense where you are so confident on your information that you walk yourself into positions that you're simply not going to win. Not only did you not know that JetCon was playing in a position where he was going to play very aggressive, you didn't know that he had an additional defender behind him. I think it's very crucial to understand that even if JetCon was eventually traded and he wasn't able to get those 2 kills, there's a defender right behind him that was able to trade that back. Whether or not Fisher liked it, with the lack of info they had in that very first engagement, they were going to go down in a man deficit. And that has been one of the main catalysts to all of the problems for this Fisher attack so far, is just simply not getting enough consistent info.
And I mean, you talked about this map being maybe a little bit more even. I mean, I'd have to check the stats, but I think it does lean a little bit defensive sided, so maybe that's a little bit of the benefit towards Fisher. But either way, a 5-0 start for Akron is just looking so dire for Fisher. I mean, there's really not a ton that we can say of like, hey, they've been doing well at this, maybe they can, you know, continue to go off of it and get a few rounds on the board. It's just kind of when Fisher try to go quickly, Akron have a very deep setup and shut them down.
Okay.
And that's exactly what they did. They, you know, tried to get a little bit ahead of themselves, walk in, and instead they just get shut down by Akron's defense. When they've gone slow as well, Akron just kind of delayed time and shut them down as well. This setup is, I mean, they're just swinging into Akron. What are you doing?
Surely not again. Surely they're able to eventually get JetCon. It is. I think it's a situation where there is so much piling on
They're
top
not
of
even
Fisher
really in the building.
that they just don't have anything. JetCon, the only factor that allowed for him to not have an ace was his teammate getting a kill. If his teammate didn't swing that, it would have been an ace for him. 4 players swinging onto that one position on bottom gold. You just cannot let that happen. And all the cards are stacking against the favor of Fisher. And they have a 0-6 attacking half. And sure, you talked about how that this map does swing slightly in the favor of the defender, but it doesn't matter when the best side for Akron is their attack. Not only is that an out of norm for the entirety of Siege, but no other team in all of Collegiate, all 6 leagues that Akron has been playing in, have come close to this absolute monster that is Akron on the attack.
I mean, it's also for a site like that, when you're choosing to go for a bottom white and what is it, whiskey? Yeah, bottom white and whiskey attack. You need something like a Sens. This is one of the sites where even before they were buffed, there was a genuine strategy to do something like a blitz and off of the Sens to be able to cut off that long angle, isolate out Christmas, and then with the horizontal angles that the defense set up for themselves to be able to deny plant and deny the freezer drop, you just use that to be able to walk in with a soft breach and take sight. But Fisher on their attack don't go for a Sens. They don't go for a blitz. They don't use any of those operators to make it that are necessary for an attack like that. And it's just these puzzling fumbles where I'm spending the entirety of the first part of the round trying to find something good to say about Fisher, as they prove me wrong at absolutely every single step. Now, benefit of the doubt, they're onto their defensive side, and they've finally chosen onto a Mira, which they didn't use at all last map. But on this map specifically, she's even stronger than she was on Chalet. And I do like the operator setup out of Fisher. A little bit of a trap setup for Staz to be able to deny them. A deployable shield for him as well. A double C4 off of a little bit of info from 2 deployable cams. And a Mira. I like that.
I think a real big factor that we have to mention is that defense from Akron wasn't necessarily special. There wasn't anything crazy going on. I don't want to say they were playing it standard, but they were playing a lot of setups that you see in your average T3 to T2 game. They weren't bringing anything out that Fisher had never seen before. They were simply just playing it poorly. And honestly, I think one of the best factors that has allowed for Akron to get this 6-0 start is consistently winning these opening engagements. Something that Fisher actually got the better of on the start of Chalet, but so far Akron, they've taken complete control of these early half rounds.
Marmalade and Space close off of each other. It's not even where the pick is going to be able to be found. Kosa holding a long angle, cuts Marmalade down, and Akron are playing perfectly off of each other. It's not just their defense. They're continuing the dominance on their attack. Kosa with a triple kill from Windows, and it just gets so much worse for Fisher. 2 versus 5, and this map could be over right here and right now. Techwell looking for anything back, walking into bar. With the red pings going out, they have enough info to know that they are in so much danger. One from Skylight and another once again from the Windows. A flawless round to end a flawless map. Akron pick up the second.
I'm speechless. I mean, if you that round specifically to end it on a flawless, you could not have topped it off better than that. Akron going through. That took 20 minutes, Irish.
That was, wait, were you timing it this time?
No, I wasn't, but we started around 8:50, so maximum 30 minutes for that match. And I think this is a sense where, sure, we can really batter down on Fisher as much as we want. Obviously, with that of a match, they, to an extent, deserve it. But at the same time, Akron is playing near flawless. Their capability to always play together. There is not one engagement in the entirety of Cafe where Fisher was able to take a gunfight with a singular player on the defense. They did a phenomenal job at making sure at every single point of the round there was at least 2 teammates next to each other, and that allowed for them to always have the favor.
I'm going to update my questions. It's not going to be, can Fisher fight back? It's not going to be, do they have a possibility to win this? It's, can they win a map? Things are looking so dire for them. We'll answer maybe a few of those questions, maybe get a better look out of Fisher after just a short break.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Is a
ago.
dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Ah, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh, God. No, come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is. Oh. What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't put it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. Now just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up.
He's breathing.
From the other side. Go.
I can't do it. Help!
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah,
Hey, did you get the meat stick?
yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, it's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, nope, get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. Dude, this is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days ago.
Dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
Hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh, God. No, come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is... Oh!
And we're back. I'm still Irish, he's still Goose, and we are still watching Akron versus Fisher. It's not quite over yet, but after the first two maps, it might not take all that long. A 7-0 cafe for Akron. I mean, are they just gonna keep stomping down Fisher?
I mean, to be fair, going into this, I talked about how Cafe was going to be a very crucial map that was going to be one of their best opportunities, especially with Clubhouse being a third map. And then they go down 0-7. So everything in my cards, especially based off of the information, the context that I gave in the pre-show, it should end here. The best chance that they have was last time that Akron played this in their semifinal matchup against Cumberland. It was an 8-6. But again, it's a situation where they have had plenty of time to fix their mistakes going into this week's matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of threw the question to you, but I mean, I feel like the answer is pretty simple. It's going to be really tough for Fisher because it's not only just the fact that Akron is a very strong team, but also specifically tonight, you and I were talking during the break of it seemed like Fisher were actually putting up a fight over the first few rounds of the first map, and then it kind of started to slip, and maybe things mentally got away from them because going 0-7 in any matchup to any team is, I mean, it says more about you than the other team.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things where Akron can only be so good. At the end of the day, you have to drop the ball in order to not get one round. It's just a simple fact. No team can be that good to just completely outclass you, especially on your own map pick. It's not like this was Akron's map pick. This was Fisher's map. They picked into Cafe. It's not like Cafe is historically an Akron strong map. Sure, they're good at it, but it's not a Clubhouse. It's not a Chalet. Speaking of Clubhouse, that's the map that we're going into. And I want you to keep in mind, even with all the struggles that they had last week in their semifinal matchup against Cumberland, they still got a 4-2 have on the attack on Clubhouse. And today, their defensive has looked absolutely stellar. A marvelous improvement over last week's match.
Going into this map, as Akron started 2-0, yeah, no, that's another. I'm not even. Yeah, I'm expecting a either Damos or Habana. It's gonna be tough.
I don't know. It's between those two operators, and I don't think
Fisher.
Clubhouse is a notoriously good bet for Davos, but Fisher, they don't care. They're gonna be keeping that Habana on the board rather. This time around, continuing to just drill home that idea of Damos. And I think after 2 maps, I don't think the problem is Damos, Fisher.
Brutal.
You hurt his feelings.
Yeah, even with the pleas of Plexios, they just shut him down.
They didn't respond to him. They didn't say, we'll take into consideration. They didn't say sorry. No reaction, just we're still going to ban him.
That's aura. That's aura right there.
That really is, honestly. Blackbeard also still being taken off the board. To be fair, though, Blackbeard, definitely an operator that you want to take off every single chance you get. Valkyrie, also off the board. And again, I mean, I think, one thing that I haven't touched on too much, I mentioned it offhand on map 1, is that Akron plays perfectly into the current meta, and that is really what makes them stand so tall above these other collegiate teams. And I think both on not only Blackbeard, I think that's an easier ban, but reading into this Valkyrie ban, removing that really easy info for the defense, honestly has been a big problem for Fisher.
Well, Fisher's had quite a few problems. I mean, like we talked about, an 0-7 map is kind of just horrendous. Going into this map, they do start on the defensive side, which might be a little bit easier, especially on Clubhouse, starting off on a site like Church and Arsenal, going into that basement bunker. With a Kaid as well, they're looking to just set up an absolute fortress and maybe have 1 or 2 people running around. As Marmalade picks onto the Goyo, maybe they're just going to kind of have a Turtle +1 and have 1 or 2, Turtle +1/+2, have 1 or 2 people kind of just run around the mid floor trying to go for kills and get man advantage before dropping back. But because that's a very effective strategy for a site like this, hopefully we can see Fisher actually put a round on the board in this map.
And we've been very difficult. We've been very hard on Fisher, like a disappointed parent getting a bad grade from their child. And I think that's probably the best way. And going into this matchup, Irish, let's make agreement. Let's make a deal here. Everything that we saw before, the first map, the 7-0, very difficult map on Chalet, let's put that behind us. Let's go into this map with a clear head, a clear mind
this was the first map.
space, and give Fisher a brand new opportunity. As if you just said, we're starting off on the first map. This is the first map of the best of 5. We didn't play 2 maps before. And now going into this one, hopefully this mental reset that we've had will, kind of trickle on and affect Fisher also.
Yeah, it's a best of 1, and if Fisher win, then they have to play 2 other best of 1s. That's how this is gonna work. Either way, for the defensive side, Staz is gonna be playing on site, and it seems like the entirety of Fisher is down here as well. It's not a Turtle +1, it's just an absolute Turtle. Now the thing is, for Akron, their info has actually been really good, and I mean, their pre-placed drones looked quite good as well, as only 3 of them were taken off the board. And gosh, that angle is just absolutely deadly. Kosa swinging for 1, an attempted trade of a bomb, but it isn't able to find anything. Nothing for his troubles, and he's swinging back onto main, but immediately a trade out of Plexios, a 1-for-1, but still advantage for Akron. Talked about maybe this would be the site for Fisher to be able to turn around their fortunes, but it doesn't look like it's going that way.
Not a whole lot of utility loss from either of those players, but you lose not only 2 C4s, but also the glasses on Warden with bomb. And sure, you get the ace, but you have a Habana Space also being able to take Staz off the board. And to start off the very first round, Fisher continues to make these very questionable decisions that cost them poorly.
2 versus 4 for Fisher, and Marmalade, instead of going for the 3rd floor roam, is just sitting in dirt at this point. Fully droned out, Akron have complete info, and with a minute left, they have the ability to take their time, but getting a little bit antsy of space. And his head gets taken cleanly off Jobu with a wonderful position. Plexios taking a lot of damage, but it doesn't matter as Jobu takes down the last of Marmalade, and it's an opening round for Akron.
Another round where there was no real early round setup, and in my opinion, it doesn't look like Fisher had an identity, that they knew what they wanted to do in that round. Didn't have a roam whatsoever, going for a bunker style defense, something that you even called out very early in that round. But then 2 players waltz their way up main stairs with no info, simply working off of sound. And of course, 1 player is caught off guard by an attacker watching that stairwell, because any attacking team will make sure that you don't go for that flank. Eventually, you're able to walk your way up and remove JetCon on the ace, but again, there's an attacker watching that, you get the trade, and you still fall down to a 1-man deficit. It's a situation where, sure, that push makes perfect sense if you had that info, maybe a Valkyrie or a player playing upstairs and you wanted to add additional pressure, but with either of those things on the board for Fisher, it was simply just a very poor decision made off of just little to no info.
And we saw from Fisher sometimes, especially, gosh, what was that? I think that was on the,
5 seconds left before insertion.
yeah, no. It was on Chalet, where they would actually, after losing a round, swap onto a different site, which I think is usually the right choice. But on this map, it seems like they know that their strongest site, or maybe their most comfortable site, is this basement. Because even after losing a horrendous round like that, going down 3 to 5 very, very, very quickly, they've chosen to go back onto it. And they've adapted just a little bit. I kind of expected on the first round to have a turtle +1 or turtle +2. That aggression is finally coming out of Fisher, as Ryan in stock, or sorry, they kind of just fall back and rotate back around once again. They're kind of just sitting up on stairs, not going for a full roam, but just a little bit of a shallow look for a pick. And the aggression that I was going to praise out of them just falls directly back to sight.
Hopefully this time around they don't go for an ill-advised retake, or at least go for it with a little bit more info. You can also see that even after that round, kind of a situation where Fisher more than knows that they probably shouldn't go for that Akron is still preparing for it. They're still sitting here watching the flank, just being careful in case there's a player. This time around they have a much different mirror. I think that's different. I don't think they had that mirror facing into church inside of blue, but nonetheless, aside from that, the only change, Tech, well, sure, he is able to stay alive for a little bit longer. He's not going to be able to trick that hatch, and with a minute and 30, Fisher is able to at least buy themselves a healthy man count going into this execution, putting themselves in a relatively good opportunity to win this.
Instead of going for a roam to be able to, get man advantage and drop back, instead it was just a shallow roam. Shoot maybe a few drones. They shoot 4 instead of 3. It's a little bit of a better trade, but the one thing that they get for themselves, much different than last round, is a little bit more time. Akron, instead, though, they aren't taking it slow. They aren't actually giving Fisher the time advantage that they really want. Kosa is just sitting in Moto. Space taking up the position in blue as well. Jobu walking down the hallway is going to get cut off by Ryan, opening for Fisher. That's a great start from them, but Akron are starting to encircle these defensive members. Agoyo on the ground gets Kosa a lot of damage, but he's able to find a pick of space, is able to find a double and a triple from Blue. It just keeps getting worse, and another round for Akron.
Yeah, and now 2 rounds in a row on the exact same bomb site, and I think that is another very crucial mistake that Akron has done. Not only do they play these bomb sites relatively similar after they go to it a second time, but going all the way to Cafe, obviously they only had 1 round, but even back to Chalet, I think is the point, is Fisher allows for Akron to go back to the exact same bomb site, not only with a very relatively similar setup, but 2 rounds in a row. And just adding an additional mirror inside of Blue is not enough of an adaptation from a defensive team to prop up problems from Akron. I would have loved that round if maybe Fisher played really aggressive, had 2 to 3 players on that roam, forced Akron to waste a lot of their time, their drone economy and utility to clear those players out, and maybe even picking an attacker off, going into that bomb site, that execution with a man advantage, but they didn't even try. They didn't really try in a lot of these rounds. It just feels like Fisher is just in their last moments gasping for air, and they're not really propping up a lot of problems for Akron to deal with, and that's what is allowed for Akron to completely just stomp over and run over Fisher, especially building off of Cafe. I broke my rule.
What was your rule?
To not mention,
you mentioned
not
the
mention
previous
2
map.
maps. Yeah, I know!
Oh, man.
Broke my own rule. Ugh.
Well, on this first map, Akron have gotten off to a relatively good start. We don't have a lot of history on them, especially against Fisher, but yeah, no, they're just, yeah, I'm gonna break it too. Yeah, this is just continuing on the dominance. 9 rounds in a row for Akron, 7 on the last map, starting off the first 2. It just keeps getting worse for them. I said it at the end of the last round, but Fisher just doing absolutely nothing to stop the slow roll of Akron as well. Space taking a lot of area as far as Blue in the last round, now just waltzes through Garage, takes a ton of space, pressuring towards this opposite side hold of Fisher. And it seems like they're not even really going for all that much. Bomb is just kind of sitting in cash with a little bit in Logi, and it's there. Yeah, no, there's not really all that much pressure towards this opposite side. Bomb, as long as he doesn't drop off of cash, he could actually find himself completely caught out with Marmalade now doubling up. And yeah, no, he's just completely caught off. Marmalade as well, a double kill for them, and the opposite side just absolutely crumbles with the down onto Ryan as well, and Fisher are left scrambling in a 1 versus 5 effectively, as Ryan has been down for the entirety of this round, and it is a flawless round once again for Akron, just ripping through Fisher's defense.
I don't like that. I think my main problem was specifically the smoke. A very heavy extension. They didn't have that mirror, and I think because that entire defense was playing so disconnected, trying to have a major outreach all the way over into Cash and CC, and then eventually trying to make their way back to the bomb site. But because they didn't have the mirror, whether it be on that initiation wall facing construction, whether it be facing inside a master or facing jacuzzi, because they didn't have that mirror, they weren't able to cut off and apply pressure onto a lot of those points that Akron did play to cut off that rotation back down to the bomb site. And having a player like Smoke in place of it, you're not even able to use him if the entirety of your defensive man count is picked off on that extension away from the bomb site. And it's a situation where they brought it twice on basement. I'm not entirely sure why they didn't bring it back for that top floor bomb site.
Also for Fisher, the digging their feet in. Bomb specifically, we see him setting up site right now, but he was one of those players that was sitting in cash alongside Marmalade at top red, and they kind of just dug their feet in, and instead of falling back when the pressure was mounting from Akron's attack and taking the time delay as their kind of W for that round, instead he just dug his feet in this round, looking for an aggression outside of Secret. And with the pick going towards Akron to start, he's not taking the initiative. He's still just sitting outside of that window, waiting for a call from his teammate, but the call just is not coming in, not hopping out of the window, not finding anything. And this advantage early on for Akron is finally secured. As Bomb is just, yeah, Bomb's just sitting there. Akron have fully rotated at this point to the opposite side, and he has not found anything for his position. For his position.
Fisher have tried their best to play very aggressive in these early rounds. It's been kind of a negative factor on them. And because of that, not only has Akron been able to consistently win these opening picks, but a majority of the time, these opening picks won by Akron are won in the first 30 to 45 seconds. And it's a smoke! You should not lose a smoke that early on. All of that time wasting utility now completely off the board for essentially free. And sure, you talked about Bomb waiting his time, waiting essentially half of the round, and he is able to eventually find some success off of that spawn peak or run out.
And that evens out the man count for Fisher, giving them a little bit of a sigh of relief in this round. But like you talked about, now the only plant denial is a C4 in the pocket of Staz, but he's not dropping below. He's not going for that plant denial late round, or maybe he'll do that later on. But right now, Fisher are looking for anything. And JetCon taking down Marmalade, Kosa finding TechWill, Staz dropping as well, and Bomb now the last alive. The player to be able to find anything in this round just gets shut off. It's not quite a flawless, but it's it really, I mean, it really just feels like it.
I mean, I think it's a situation where also the style of play and the ideology of both of these teams, where Fisher is really just trying to play bunker style, forcing Akron to say, sure, we'll maybe give you an aggressive situation early on. Bomb, I think it's a situation where he rarely does that. He's not always going to wait on just one position hoping to get a player. That is a one-round isolated play that probably will not happen at least multiple times. Maybe it happened once or more times. But I think it's a situation where Fisher plays this bunker-style defense where Fisher just says, we're not coming to you, you have to come to us. Akron takes that message and says, thank you. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. You give us all this time to set up our execution. We don't have to waste any of our utility. We don't have to waste time droning you, waste time destroying our drones to try and pick off those roamers, because there aren't really any roamers whatsoever, especially on this basement bomb site. And that gives them everything they need to set up their execution and then pick off these players one by one, building off of that playstyle, playing off of each other, while Fisher continue to play very isolated.
And for Fisher, when they've gone for spawn peaks, like on Chalet, it's worked out. When they've gone for jump outs, just like in that last round, it's worked out. When they've gone for aggressive plays against Akron, trying to throw a wrench into their very well-made plans, it actually has been working for them consistently throughout this matchup. The problem is, like you were talking about, they really just have chosen to not go for it. Instead, a run out of main breach gets punished by Plexios instead. Those are the kind of ideas that I really like to see out of them. Just not exactly like that. Opening once again for Akron. And this round, I mean, do Fisher even really have a chance? Aggression still for them on the third floor, but Plexios gets yet another onto TechWill space onto full box Ryan, and yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, that is that's a very valid reaction to what's happening.
I mean, I talked about how they needed a change up. They needed to prop 2 to 3 players, 4 defenders on this top floor, but they executed it horribly. You're reinforcing that wall 15 seconds into the round. Bomb, he has an opportunity to do something, but space is just absolutely better. Now, because of all of that, my point has been interrupted. I'm just going to kind of throw it out the window and let you take it from here, Irish.
Minute and 45 seconds left. One of those Fenrir mines going off towards lobby. Great. Marmalade knows about one of the players, but with 10 seconds off the clock, that player could have completely rotated it. Doesn't matter. What does matter is a gorgeous shot onto Kosa, bottom main. 4 versus 1 run onto site. Bomb is just baiting them into 1 versus 1s against Marmalade, and it seems like she's hot right now, looking for any picks, but space is just better, like you said. Quick headshot for him in the round, and he doubles up with yet another to close it. A 5-0 for Akron. I mean, that's 12 rounds in a row. That's brutal. That's brutal right there.
I talked about how that round specifically was executed poorly. They tried to go for a 4-man extension, not only a roam, but extension. They tried to reinforce those walls, essentially have an extended hold inside of CC and Cash. But the problem was they did it so slow. Not only were they reinforcing the walls 15 seconds in the round, that's something you should probably do by the time that prep phase is over. Not only did that give the opportunity to catch Fisher off guard when they're still setting up their pre-site setup, but then Akron had a player all the way over to vent. Not only is Fisher playing so slow on their setups and pushes on attack, but Akron is reading into it miles ahead before they even come into contact with that boulder in the road, and they're prepared for it. Already having a player catching that cross off, then rotating that player over to Jacuzzi, and then catching that player trying to rotate down main. I mean, we can really just bulldog on Fisher, but at the end of the day, Akron is just reading into this defensive setup on Clubhouse perfect.
Pour one out for the fellows on Fisher, because it's quite bad for them right now. Akron, on the last round of their attack, are just looking to continue their dominance, looking to continue their flawless streak of rounds continuing on from the last map. They have a double hard breacher setup, and this is one of those maps where there's a lot of hard breach to be done on basically every single site, but specifically this one. Even without the hard breach getting done right away, a lot of, well, actually, no, the main wall on CC is open, Space finding a pick towards Marmalade. Even if she had found the pick towards Space, the rest of Akron were stacking up towards that side, and they're quickly enveloping this opposite side hold from Fisher. I mean, not a ton of an opposite side hold as Space goes down as well, and Full Box Brian looking to swing back onto it, but Akron are just, I mean, they're just surging through this Fisher's defensive hold.
Staz, though, is able to find one, but again, this Akron team plays double, tripled up. They are able to find that answer back now. A 4v2. Both Ryan and Techwell are completely isolated. Sure, you have these mirrors, but because you overstay your welcome, you play way too over-aggressive in that early round, giving those early opportunities. Fisher, those mirrors will not matter because you're in a 2v4.
C4 doesn't work out either as it's shot out of the air by Akron. It's a 1 versus 4 to end the attacking half for Akron. And it's not a whole heck of a lot of tools in the pocket of Fisher to be able to stop this dominance. And that SMG-11 just doesn't have enough bullets for 4 people. Akron with a flawless attacking half.
I mean...
Hey,
there's
man,
not a lot
you're the
of
color caster. You've got to be able to break this down and tell me exactly what's happening, what Fisher can do to fight back into this. It's your job. Do your job.
I will do my job, and actually, I do actually have a point. I think
Really?
it is. I think again, it's just play styles completely contrasting each other. Fisher really want to play aggressive. They want to get right in your faces against Akron. They want to go for these really aggressive gunfights. In Akron, they welcome that. But not only is it a problem in play styles, but then on top of that, these aggressive plays are not timed well. There are so many isolated engagements that are played poorly. Marmalade swinging deep onto Raptors from top red with I can't remember the name, but the SMG on Wamai against a R4C with an ACOG, you're not winning that gunfight, especially when they have info on your position. And I think it's a situation where if they prop up these very aggressive isolated plays with maybe, an additional player or info, then it can be better. But you're just taking it, giving very easy to win opportunities for Akron, and they're eating it up. And it really just does seem like that Fisher is not playing like themselves today.
And all bets are off for Fisher. We talked about them neither team really, utilizing these shields a lot. It seems like for Fisher, it's only really been a desperation play. We saw this at the start of their attacking half on the last map. And it seems like they're going once again for a rush, but they have the blitz on this round. Think a boost out, but it's not really going to help them very quickly. And yeah, it's just continued on dominance, even with a blitz shield close and even with people playing off of it. Only 1 kill to be able to be found, and it's a flawless map after another flawless map. 14 rounds in a row for Akron. And they close it out with a 3-0 scoreline, only having 3 rounds lost in the first map. I mean, that's about as dominant as you can get.
Speechless is a word that I think kind of encapsulates the entirety of this matchup. It is not a lot that you see 14 rounds in a row. Actually not 14. I'm not going to do math. 21-3 was the end score line for this best of 3. Didn't even get close to potentially a map 4. It wasn't even in the stratosphere. It wasn't drawn on the board yet. We didn't even be able to prepare thinking about a map 4 because it was never a possibility after that 7-0. Even in that last round, you could tell that Fisher, they knew that their time was over. They knew that death was knocking on their door, and they just tried to go for a last-ditch effort. And just like every other time, they tried to go for a quick hit on the bomb site. Yet again, Akron was just too benounced to it.
Truly unfortunate for Fisher that they came up against an Akron that looked this strong tonight. Congratulations to Akron. And once again, congratulations to Fisher, even though I know that they really won't be feeling all that good after a loss like that. That's it for us. That's it for NECC for this season.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit more. I believe we have a few other things happening as far as NECC. Hold on, let me just pull them up so that I can kind of give you guys a little bit of a. Okay.
It might be over for us, but it's not over for we have a lot of games.
Thank our sponsors. Thank Wenzel and G Fuel, the cute little ads that you've been seeing before every single one of the maps during our break. Those are I have not quite had them, but I've heard that they're delicious. Thank you, G Fuel, as a sponsor as well. There's plenty more NECC action, not from us, but of other games around the scene as well. We have Rocket League tomorrow at 8 p.m. We have Overwatch at 2 on Friday. And we have CLOL and CVAL on Saturday as well. And then Nationals for D2 for our lower league starting next Monday.
Yeah, but I think that's it for us. We got a long summer. Obviously, the semester for all of esports is not over for NECC. But from me, Irish, our entire production team, Dan wasn't able to be here today, but Unnamed was able to join us here. Thank you to all of our production team, and thank you all for watching, and we hope you have a great rest of your semester. Have a good night.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Has a
ago.
dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
Hell with that.
Ah, yeah, there's something in there.
Come on, Lynn.
Thank you.
It was worth